All right, are you guys curious about what schooling opportunities are here in the Marion County area? Well, this interview is the one for you to watch. So today I interviewed Crystal, who is one of the lead people who are going to be running the Primer program here in the Marion County area. It's a super awesome, unique schooling opportunity for your children, so I highly recommend that you watch it. She talks all about their program, all about what's coming here, and also how you can register. So let's go check it out. All right, Crystal, well, tell us a little bit about Primer and then also like kind of your teaching story, because I know every teacher kind of has their own way of how they got into teaching.
So Primer is a innovative way that we're going to be teaching kids. We're changing the way that we educate our kids because the world has changed and the education system hasn't followed suit. So I came into Primer from my brother-in-law. I've always had a passion about teaching, but I've never had the capability of joining schools and teaching. And my brother-in-law is the developer of the Primer academics, and he called me up one day and he's like, "Hey, you should check out Primer. We're a network of schools and we're expanding, and we want to open one up in Ocala." And I was looking at it, and I'm like, this is a great idea. And I was honestly, yes, I had the idea of teaching in the back of my mind, but I also had the idea of my daughter because I really wanted her to have the best education possible. So that's how I started.
Okay, getting into Primer now. Is Primer, is it nationwide across the board, or they like only have a couple in different places?
So they have some in Miami,
Okay.
they have some in Alabama, Arizona, and I think they're growing in Texas right now.
Okay.
So they're starting to grow because they helped change the zoning for where schools can open.
Got it.
So they're trying to change zoning in each state and go from there.
Okay, so are they considered a private school, charter school? How does that? I'm just curious.
Private school.
Private school. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I figured, but I wasn't 100% sure like where that sat because you talked about like financing and some different things earlier, so I was curious about that. Now I know you talked about like your daughter. So have you lived in Marion County a long time?
Since 2011.
Okay, so a while.
Yeah, a while.
A while.
Originally from Canada.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I went to Ohio to go to college.
Okay.
And then I met a boy and came down here and got married.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyways, and then we had our daughter. She's 4.
Okay.
So she's got one more year before she can actually join Primer. But and we'll be all set up and ready for her. And I'm really excited for her to be in this program because it gives her the ability to focus on the foundations, but also allows her to be interested in new things and try new things. Because at that age, at the young ages from K through 8, that is the best time for them to discover new things and to try new things, because as they get older, they get scared or they're not as willing to try new things.
I also think the age group you really end up figuring out what you like if you're given the space to do so. Because I remember because I was homeschooled, so I was homeschooled from 2nd grade all the way until I graduated high school. And so my mom realized that I really liked science, and so we did a bunch of science activities. I was in a science fair. I made like a little diorama of the brain with Play-Doh, and I labeled them all, and so my mom found my love for that, and my mom went full ham into that, and it really gave me, I think, a really good foundation of me knowing myself, knowing my interests, and knew what I was passionate about.
Exactly.
At least in a lot of ways. And so I don't do anything really with science. I guess I kind of do in some ways with real estate because there is psychology into it, and I do like that side of it a lot. But my job doesn't really entail science, but I do still really like that. But it's but I do think like you were saying, it's if you can allow a child to have the space to do that, then it sets them up for a level of success that I don't think we don't do that in public school.
Exactly.
At all. We don't give them the space to really figure out themselves. So that kind of leads me into my next question. I was like, what's an average day at Primer look like for a kid?
So the average day, the school day starts at 8:30, ends at 3:30. We have aftercare. The mornings are straight up core academics. So they have one of our commitments to our primer families is that they are going to master math, reading, and literacy. So they spend 100 minutes every day each in math and reading and writing. And that's in the morning section. They also have like break and stuff in between so that they're not like crazy driven into all the academics. But so they have, I believe it's like 45 minutes where they're in a virtual class. And I say virtual, but Primer has software. It's kind of like Zoom.
Okay.
And they have a teacher that is highly qualified in that subject. So in math, in reading, in writing. And in each grade, they have 10 kids in that class. So it's a very small class. They're very focused on that academics, on that course. And so in the Zoom class, the teacher teaches, and if there's a question, she can either individually talk to them in that Zoom meeting, or they can bring it in within the class.
So it's actually live?
Yeah, it's all live.
Okay. Are these kids like in a room sitting with this, or no?
So we're in our grade bands at school.
Okay.
They are on their computers
okay, got it.
In that class.
Okay.
And the great thing, the really exciting thing about this is like there are other primer kids from other schools in on that class based on the students' academic level. Because we don't let kids stay behind if they don't need to. They can move forward if they understand the academics that they're at.
Like the topic.
Yeah, their topic. If they understand it, they move forward. If they don't understand it, they stay back and they learn it until they do understand it.
So you're saying like really with it, to me, it sounds like kind of a mixture of what I did being homeschooled. So I'll kind of, and you can correct me if I'm wrong with this. So the thing with, when I was homeschooled, I went to a co-op, but I also did at one point, we did Abeka, and Abeka has, I don't know if they still do, but they did at one point, had like videos where they had went in and recorded teachers teaching classes. And so I actually did that at one point for science and a couple other classes that I did really well in, like topics. And so I would watch this woman that was definitely from like the late 80s, early 90s. She had like huge glasses, really curly hair. Like I might even like
Bill Nye.
Yeah, no, like way worse. Like in like the Christian version, like dresses up. Like it was hilarious. Maybe if I'm able to find a video of it, I'll like slap that in here because I'm telling you, her outfits cracked me up constantly. And I was like in second or third grade. It was very funny. I always thought it was amusing, but nonetheless. So the videos would like teach you the topic. So it was like I was sitting in a classroom, but I wasn't. I was watching it virtually. And then I also went to a co-op, and a co-op was kind of the same thing where I would go there, a teacher would teach, and then we'd, of course, if you were behind on a topic or whatever, maybe you would go with the younger kids in that grouping, and instead of moving forward. Like, I wasn't very good at math, and so my mom didn't put me in algebra. She ended up holding me back and doing it separately. And then there was also sometimes that I went into classes behind just so that way I went over the topics and learned it better. So it sounds like you're kind of like taking those things and combining them together where you guys have like a live teacher there, you're watching a video, talking to them and learning, doing whatever. And then if those children need like hands-on attention, I'm going to guess you guys are able to kind of like sit there with them and tutor them or do whatever that is. So they're getting their main lesson online from the teacher whose specialty is that topic, which is good because I mean, being homeschooled, that's why my mom really loved on like the co-op aspect of it because most parents aren't good at everything. Yeah. Like my mom wasn't good at science and she knew she had a kid that really loved science. So she wanted those outlets to do that. So I feel like Primer kind of gives you like that best of both worlds of what that would look like. Is that correct?
Yes. The one thing that will actually make this more sense is right at the beginning of the school year, all the students have an assessment. And I don't like the word assessment because it puts pressure on the kids like, oh my gosh, I'm being tested. But it's not like that. It's just to understand where you are. So they go through all the assessments for math, writing, and reading. And then the data that they get from that puts them into the group that they're going to be in for the math, for the reading, so that everyone is at the same level. We do that 3 times a year. We do that beginning, middle, and end. And what I love about that is maybe or a quarter of the way through the first part of the year, you start to understand things and move faster. Well, we're going to move you up and move you into a different group so that you can learn where you're learning.
I think one piece that we are missing talking about in this is that each classroom, you said, is mixed ages, right? So
yes.
how is that broken up into it?
So we have K through 2, 3 through 5, and 6 through 8.
Okay.
And the reason why they did this, because coming from a parent and reading that on the website, I'm like, what? Why would you have mixed age groups? Because I'm coming from back in the day where we're all the same age and we're all learning the same thing at the same time. And my brother-in-law was like, well, when you think about it in real life, do we talk to people that are the same age all the time? No, we're talking to people that are younger. We're talking to people that are older. And so it teaches the kids how to socialize. And it teaches kids to be like, if I need help, maybe I can go to one of the older kids and ask for help. Or if you're an older kid, oh, I can be a mentor to this younger child and help them understand something. So that, when I first learned about it, I'm like, what? I'm very standoffish. And then he explained it. I'm like, that makes so much sense. And I'm like, why aren't we doing that in today's schools? Why can't we have mixed age groups so that they can learn to socialize, so they can learn to be a mentor, so they can learn to ask for help from other people? And even from a maturity standpoint, you could have a younger kid that's more mature and want to hang out with the older kids. So anyways, that was like a big mind-opening thing that happened for me.
No, I definitely think, and I think that was kind of what I was trying to get out with the co-op as well. Mm-hmm. So with co-ops, like, it was all ages. So sometimes we would have, if the kid was really excelling at science, I'm going to use that as an example, or at math. Usually, there was a boy who was much younger than me, was really good at math, and he was like in algebra classes in 6th grade, like high school algebra, 6th grade. That's where he was. Like, he was doing calculus and like trigonometry his senior year of high school. Like, this boy was like a genius when it came to math, and so I think when you have those mixed age groups, it kind of allows the students, as somebody who wasn't good at math and good at other things, school was not my thing.
No, not either.
It just wasn't my thing. And so, unless it was science. But it allows you to, I think, the student to be a little less hard on themselves, because you're in a group of all different people of different ages. And so you get to see that just because they're 2 years older than me doesn't mean that they're better at this than me. They may end up in my same class with me the whole time. And so I think it gives students, and that's what I liked about the co-op as well, is it kind of gives you a real life situation. Again, because, if you're working in a job, just because the 26-year-old is 26 and you're 48 doesn't mean the 26-year-old doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, age doesn't matter. It has to do with like knowledge and what you're good at. And so I think it allows you to appreciate, regardless of age, people's like specialties, what they're good at, and knowing that age doesn't define that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I did want to ask as well, is like parent involvement, because I know a lot of times in public school, that's probably, I think, what parents mostly complain about, or maybe they don't feel like there's an easy way to connect. I think there is a disconnect between parent connection and the schools. I see it all the time with my wife being a school teacher. So how does Primer differ with that?
This was a huge goal for Primer, is we are very transparent in what is going on in their child's day-to-day activities. In Primer, in our software, there is actually a parent Primer dashboard, and it gives you information on what your kid's doing during the day. The Primer leader can actually send pictures of what your kid's doing. If they finally reached a goal in their academics, or they're building something in their passion pursuit, I can take pictures and I can send it to you and say, this is what they're doing. They're in the dashboard, there's also an assessment thing. So when they're doing their app-based work, or the teacher sends something from their math or something, you can understand where it is because it's right there in your dashboard. So that, I think, is a huge success from Primer, because, again, like you said, you drop your kid off at at school, and then you're like, well, honey, what'd you do today? And they're like, I don't know.
Especially asking like a kindergarten.
Exactly.
They're like, I colored in the lines. Like,
I colored.
Yeah,
exactly. But I was that kid. I don't know. It was a good day. So, and this way, you get involved. You can see where their strengths are in their subjects, and you can see where they might need some work. So that way you're involved in their learning. You're involved in knowing what they're doing that day. You can be like, hey, I saw that you were doing this with your passion pursuit. That's great. So I'm super excited for that standpoint, so that parents can be involved in what their kids are doing that day.
Now, you did mention the passion, like, portion of it, like, kind of going into, like, what exactly is that? I'm going to guess it has to do with them figuring out what they like, but how does Primer do that?
So in the mornings, they have their core academics. Then they have lunch, recess, and the whole afternoon is set for passion pursuits. It's a little different for the grade band K through 2.
Of course.
Because they're younger. In K through 2, we have studio pursuits. And that's the primer leader creates activities to, like, learning about animals or the ocean or the environment. They create passion pursuits based on those, and they create little projects for all the kids to work together on, so that it creates the interest. It creates that, oh, this is really interesting. Maybe I'll learn about that later on, or, it creates a spark. In 3 through 5 and 6 through 8, we have the studio pursuits as well. So the whole grade band works together on certain things that the primer leader has created. One of them that I'm super excited for is space.
Okay.
One of my memories back in my day, I'm not going to give you how many years ago that was, in grade 5, I remember my teacher had this thing that helped us get really excited about space, and we created our own planet.
Okay.
And so one of the things that I'm excited for is, one, you're going to learn about space, but we're also going to create our own planet and our own living environment. So that way, you're getting the science of it, and you're getting like, oh, how can we create food to eat on this planet? So that's one of the things. So that's the studio pursuits. And we have a bunch of those in a year.
Okay.
The next one is the passion pursuit. And these are individual projects. And this is something that the kids are excited about. It builds curiosity. It builds the interest in things. So if you're interested in music, you want to write music. There was one example from another school. One of the kids was super interested in football.
Okay.
So, and the CEO, Ryan, heard about it, and I don't know how he did it, but he got the person that drafts the team from the Miami Dolphins to actually have a live or Zoom meeting with the student, or maybe it was with the class, I can't fully remember, on statistics, on picking the players for that year. And I'm just like, can you believe having the drafter from the Miami Dolphins talking to you about the statistics and how much excitement that would create for a kid who loves football? And like being able to connect statistics to real life. So, because when I learned statistics, I'm like, what am I going to use this for? And to be able to connect things to a real life situation, it sticks to you rather than memorizing something and not knowing what we use it for.
No, I think that's super cool that they did that. It definitely gives like a unique perspective. So will you guys like do something similar with like maybe bringing in like some local people maybe? Okay.
Yep.
To come in and talk to them. Okay.
Yep, I have a few in mind, so I haven't brought it up to them yet, but I'm planning on it. So I'm excited about that. And from a leader's perspective, I'm excited because I'm going to learn so many things from these kids too. Like I'm going to be the primer leader for grades 3 through 5, and I feel like I'm going to learn a lot about cars. I'm going to learn a lot about bugs. I'm going to learn a lot about music and art. One of the other examples that I have for a passion pursuit is there was a couple of girls who were very interested in opening a nail salon. And so they actually created a business to open a nail salon.
Okay, that's super cool.
I mean, you're building a business, you're learning all these things at such a young age, and you're creating that interest right off the bat.
And I think Marion County is really a good supporting place for that. I'm going to be honest. They have I don't know if you know about it or not, that they do a young entrepreneur event every year downtown, which is really cool. People
I think it's in the market, right?
In the market, yeah. It's in the market. I know some of the people that do it, and they were super happy to tell me all, and super excited and proud of the fact that they had kids down there giving haircuts at 18. Well, no, they were licensed.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
They were licensed
I don't know.
If you go to MTI, then you can get your you can get your barber's license and things like that. But by the time you graduate, so there's some really good programs. I actually get asked about that kind of often, and I find that some of the schools down south don't actually have that. Or we're here, we have MTI. MTI kind of encompasses a little bit of everything. It has all kinds of odds and ends, and it's a very unique school. And I'm kind of glad Marion County has it. And a lot of people don't know that it exists. And so if you have kids that are interested in, not the typical going to college degree type things, it's a great place to send them, especially in high school. Maybe even sometimes they even go the last junior, senior year, I think, to get whatever nursing, whatever it is. So if you're looking for that, I definitely would recommend checking it out, because it's good for that. It's just kind of a unique situation, because it used to be, what was it? It used to be at the Forest High School back in the day.
Okay, yeah.
And then it was Ocala High, way long time ago. My wife's family is generationally from here, so that's why I know that. But
awesome.
No, so the buildings, it's old, and there's a lot of them. So if you go there, it's kind of confusing, but it's a cool program that they have here. So I'm happy to hear that primer kind of hopefully can kind of mesh together if need be, because if those kids want those licensures when they're in high school, because you guys don't do high school.
Not yet.
Not yet. Is that the goal? Do they do it in other places?
No, not yet. Okay. But I saw a sparkle in Ryan's eye one night when we were doing our video lessons. Because each week I do a lesson to learn more about the academics, and it was brought up, and I just saw a smile I'm thinking about it. I'm just wait until we get the elementary schools set up.
Yeah. So how long has primer been a thing?
I don't know the exact amount of time. I feel like it's only been 3 or 4 years, but I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, no, I'm just curious, because the way you were talking about it kind of sounded like it was a relatively new.
Yeah, it's newer.
Newer, so. Okay, under 10 years at least. It sounds like about 10 years. It sounds like. Now I did want to ask, does the school follow a normal school schedule? When do you guys get normal holidays off? Do you guys have normal summers? How does that all work?
Yep. So we are following the Marion County calendar. Again, the school day is 8:30 in the morning to 3:30, and then there's the option for the after-school program, and we have the regular holidays off.
Okay, so it's pretty much the same schedule. So nothing really would change too much with that. I guess towards the end, it really would be asking, how would somebody join primer?
So we have our website, www.primer.com, or and that's honestly probably the easiest way. And it says enroll, and there's a 10-minute application. So that's the first part. Then you'd have a private parent meeting with one of the primer leaders, and that would be either myself, Laura, Yamilet, and that's a 30-minute online meeting where we would answer any of your questions. I could dive in a little bit deeper on the academics, all that kind of stuff, and then you would again fill out the application, send that in, and they would actually send you a financial packet. And one of the goals that Ryan, the CEO, had was they want to have everyone to have the ability to get a world-class education and be able to afford it. So we accept the Step Up program, and also Primer has financial aid and their own scholarships as well. So you might not actually be paying a ton of money to admit your child into the school, which I love. So, because I want my daughter to go to, I want her to have the best education possible, but I also don't want it to break the bank. So I'm super excited that they allow the Step Up and they have their own financial options as well.
No, I think every parent wants their kids to have the best education. I mean, I don't even have children, and I want my children to have that as well, because I feel like I got a very unique experience being homeschooled. So I feel like my perspective, and then my wife being a school teacher, kind of, the system's broken, and I think everybody knows that.
Yes.
And, a lot of people complain coming here to Ocala to the schools and whatever the case may be. And I really don't think the schools are as terrible as what some people think. There's a lot of factors that cause.
Teachers are trying their hearts out. And, it's just what they're given. Like the schools, what they're allowed to teach, all those kinds of things. That's all that they're allowed to do. We take the red tape away, and we are allowed to let the kids dive into what they're interested in, give them that time. They're in school every single day. And, that's a lot for a kid. And it feels draining that we're forcing them to learn all these things, and they might not even use it later on. Why not give them the foundation of the math and the reading and the writing, and then let them dive into things that they're interested in. And then in high school, they either follow what they're interested in, or they learn more things there.
Yeah.
So
no, I think that's true. Being homeschooled, I got the luxury to do that. My parents made a lot of sacrifices to allow me to do that, and I'm very thankful for that. Homeschool kids get a lot of bad publicity, which that were awkward, that were this, that were that. I definitely don't think that's true. I've met other homeschoolers. Sometimes they can be that way, but I think it has more to do with your parents and the upbringing that you have. I know public school children that are 10 times more awkward than I am. So I think it comes down to more of those things. But I think that I'm happy to see that Primer also just really focuses on that whole passion thing, because I feel like I was so fortunate in that my mom always prioritized like science and like the things that I loved. Of course, yes, I had to do math, and yes, I had to do things I didn't want writing. I wasn't the best writer, and I hated all of that stuff, but I was thankful that, I remember I had a science book for, I think, in 8th grade, and my mom was like, you can do it however much you want of it. And I ended up, like, doing the entire book before, like, technically school was, like my school, like, the 8th grade was over, and I just finished it because I liked it. So mom was like, well, what are you going to do? Like, I was like, well, can I do it again? Can you give me something else to do?
Exactly.
And it sounds to me like Primer kind of allows children to kind of get to do that in those extracurricular activities. Especially once they get older, like in middle school and high school. Yeah. I mean, middle school anyway. The goal in high school, hopefully, as well. So I think that's super awesome. And again, I think having Marion County having a lot of options for schooling is always a plus. It just shows that we're, like, going in the direction of, like, very suburban, family-focused.
Yes.
I don't know if you would agree that Ocala is very family-focused.
Oh, yes. I can see all the developments coming up.
No, it's just very family-esque. Somebody was asking, do we have softball, and, do we have, like, basketball leagues, and do we, like, I'm like, it's not no man's land. Like, yes, we have all that. I think, if anything, we kind of lack, like, young adult things to do, or, like, adult things to do that are not, like, drinking only. But for children, like, there's a lot to do. Like, if you have a family with young children, I'm sure, I don't know if I think it's, like, Ocala for fun or something like that, or Kids for Fun. I don't remember.
Fun for Kids Ocala. Fun for Kids.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Something like that. And it's a whole page dedicated to just activities for kids, and there's, like, ungodly amount of stuff on there.
Yep.
It's a lot, so. Yeah, no, so when projected-ish, what time frame are you guys looking for next year?
We are
planning
to be open for the August 2025 school year. We are doing early enrollment right now.
Okay.
So if anybody's interested, they can go online. We can set up a parent meeting. You can go into the admissions and all that kind of stuff. And it's actually, because our classes are so small, it's probably a good idea to at least get the ball rolling on the admissions process so that there's a chance you have the spot.
Do the students have to test in or no?
No.
Okay.
No.
It's just kind of like first come, first serve type
Yeah.
of. Okay. I just wanted to ask, because like she talked about like parent assessment and talking about that, so I wasn't sure if they had to test in or what that looked. Okay, so it's just first come, first served.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you said you guys offer aftercare as well.
Yes.
Okay.
There will be aftercare. I think it's till 6.
Okay.
So that gives, the parent the ability to go to work and not have to stress to race to
pick them up.
Yeah.
Now, I know you guys don't have an exact location, but do you guys maybe, do you have an idea of what area you think you'll be in?
So Marion County's huge.
It is. That's why I'm asking. I don't need, I know you guys don't have a specific location, but I'm thinking, southwest, northeast,
I would like to stay more central,
Okay.
Closer to downtown, so that way we reach all
Okay.
Locations. But honestly, it just depends on
Okay.
the space that we're able to find. I really hope that we can find it, but anyways.
Okay, and I was just curious if you had an idea of where you would be, because I know that's something people are probably going to ask me.
Oh, yes.
Do you know where they're going to be? And be like, I don't really know yet. It's really early.
Yes, that's the question I've been getting lately. We're going to find a location. I am determined. We are.
How big of a space do you guys need? I'm just curious, because I have all kinds of people watch this, so maybe somebody will have a space. I don't know.
So, we try and find it in places that already, churches, community centers, places that have already been schools. 1, for zoning, because it makes it easier. And 2, we want to use space that's not really doing anything.
Okay.
So that we're not, and we want it to be affordable.
Got it.
As an admissions standpoint. So spending an absorbent amount of money on a space affects the admissions. So we're trying to find places in churches, community centers, old schools, so that way we can.
Okay.
And I want to say it's 1,000 square feet per classroom. So we're looking at around 3,000 square feet.
Okay.
Plus bathrooms and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of legality that goes into all that.
Oh, yes.
I know, parking spaces and drainage, and it gets really complicated.
Playgrounds.
Really
Yep. Gotta have a playground.
I know, it gets real complicated.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing this with the community, because I know a lot of people, again, we're coming into the busy season in real estate, so people are going to want to know where they can send their kids once they move here. So if they're thinking about seriously moving here, it's the time to do that. I'll put all the information in the description. Do you guys have any other things that you want to talk about before I wrap it up completely?
I don't think so.
No?
If you are interested, feel free in messaging me. I'll give you my information.
Okay.
You can put it on there. So.
Yeah. So I will have everything that you need. I'll have the website, her information, and all, anything that she's willing to share with you guys. So, and feel free to reach out to me as well if you need any questions, need anything. I can always get you connected if something you just so happen can't figure it out. Whatever the case is, I will help you. So, again, in the description, check it out. I appreciate you guys checking it out today, and hopefully, once they actually get their spot and everything, I'll get to kind of do a follow-up series. Nice. And maybe you guys get to meet some of the other teachers or how do you guys...
Primer leaders.
Primer leaders. And, kind of get to see the full picture of what Primer's bringing here to Marion County. So thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.